Hey friends, welcome back to this Homeschooling Naturopath. If you're new here, my name's Hannah and I am a homeschool mom of 3 girls and a newborn baby. And my girls are 11, 10, and 7. And I'm also a fully qualified naturopath living in New Zealand. On this channel, I like to share content related to homeschooling, homemaking, motherhood, as well as some naturopathic info throughout some of my content here. Today's video, I am bringing you guys our Term 3 update. This is going to be a chatty one about how all of our curriculum went this past homeschool term. You can imagine with a new edition it didn't go too well, but I'm here to tell you guys how it went nonetheless. So if you're interested, keep watching. Alright, so Term 3. If you're new around here, we homeschool pretty much year-round, give or take. We live in New Zealand, which is obviously the southern hemisphere, and so currently it is our winter time, so we don't take a big summer break, throughout June and July because it's winter for us. Our summer break is December, January. And how I like to lay our homeschool year out is 6-week terms. So we have just come to the end of our third 6 weeks, and so that's where we're at. So that is what I'm updating you guys on. So before I get into talking about all of our curriculum today, let's all keep in mind that we added a new baby to our home this term, and so that largely affected how all of our curriculum went. Since baby has arrived, we've really only been doing the very bare minimum as far as homeschool work goes, and for us, our bare minimum looks like math, language arts, and that's basically it. Actually, I look at that. I was gonna list a whole lot. I felt like I had more, but no, our bare minimum is math and language arts for each of my kids. So that is pretty much what we've been doing since baby's arrival. However, we did have 2 weeks to get a good amount of work done before baby arrived, so that's what I'm gonna kind of be touching on. So science and history we do as a group subject, and we like to use Gather Round Homeschool in our home. If you're not new around here, you know that. We started off the year with space, we then moved into earth science, and for Term 3 we did dinosaurs. Now, again, this is not a bad unit at all, and it's not a bad curriculum. Gather Round is my favorite homeschool company, and I can say that with the utmost confidence because I love Gather Round. However, this unit just did not hit the mark for us this past term. So we got to lesson 9 of this unit before baby was born, and I have zero intentions of picking it back up. My girls were not interested in picking it back up after baby arrived, so we've actually just completely put this aside now with no plans to finish it. I think what really missed the mark for us with the 9 lessons that we did was that it kind of felt like we were learning more about the paleontologists who discovered dinosaurs as opposed to the actual dinosaurs. At least in those first 9 lessons, that was pretty much what it felt like. I will also say that we had the MP3 for this unit, which I highly, highly recommend. I honestly don't think we would have gotten to lesson 9 if I didn't have that MP3, because I would not have been reading all of the stuff about paleontologists were it not for that. So yeah, if you're looking at this unit, if you're looking at any of the Gather Round units, I highly recommend getting the MP3s if they're available, because they make it so much more pleasant to go through. So I think we kind of all went into this with the expectation that we would be learning about dinosaurs, which, it's not like we weren't learning about dinosaurs, but it was just kind of tedious information. Like, we were going over Mary Anning and her story and her background, and where she grew up and how she got into paleontology, which is interesting and great history, but my kids wanted to be learning about dinosaurs, right? It went into the Bone Wars, talking about the 2 men whose names I cannot remember at this moment, and it just, again, it talked about where they came from and how they became paleontologists, and I don't know, I think all of us just kind of felt like we were learning more about people as opposed to dinosaurs. And kind of how this unit was laid out in the teacher's guide was it would have a good 2 pages of reading about the paleontologists, and then it would have 1 paragraph on a dinosaur and another paragraph on a second dinosaur, and that's pretty much how each lesson was laid out. a lot of information about the paleontologists and a little bit of information about the dinosaurs. That's how I felt anyways. However, what I did really like was how their student books were laid out. I think their student books were really, really cool. They were probably one of the better student books that we've had. They had a lot of fun activities in there. I can't think of them off the top of my head. It was a little while ago now that we did this, but in the overlay, you'll be able to see some of the cool stuff. Sorry, also that's my dishwasher beeping. I paused it for the video, so it's beeping at me to remember to turn it back on. I also really liked how at the back of the student books they had, what was it called? The Discovery Book. The Discovery Book. I don't know if that's at the back of the units when you buy this in print from Gather Round, but I had it at the back of my girls' student books because I printed these from home. And I actually really liked the Discovery Book. So did all my girls. They really liked the art pages as well. That was probably really the only thing that they did in, well, that my younger two did in their student books was these discovery pages. It was quite cool having them fill in the information about what we had talked about. It was laid out in a pretty cool and visually appealing way for them, and then having the art page made it really good as well. All my girls really enjoyed the Discovery Book. And obviously as well, that was probably largely because it was focused on the dinosaurs themselves for the most part, which again is what they were interested in when it came to this unit. So yeah. Now, before you think that this unit was all negative for us, it definitely was not. As a matter of fact, I have very, very positive things to say about the first lesson in particular. Lesson 1 was called The Backstory. And first of all, it started with a beautiful family devotional prompt, which was just a beautiful way to start off this unit. And then it went into the different theories about dinosaurs. So we looked at evolution, we looked at the creation theory, as well as theistic evolution. And there were some really good YouTube video recommendations on the Gather Round app, which went along beautifully with this. And basically what we spoke about was different worldview. We spoke about what we believe as a family. We spoke about some different opinions. We talked about how to engage in a civil conversation with people who have different opinions to you, and different worldview. And honestly, when we did this lesson, it really, I think we probably sat there for a good hour and a half on this lesson alone, because it was a lot to talk about. There was a lot of questions that came up from my girls. I myself had a lot of questions. I honestly was on the fence as to whether I actually believed that dinosaurs were real or not, which, you might be like, well, why did you choose the dinosaur unit if you didn't think dinosaurs were real in the first place? But honestly, after doing this first lesson and reading through the biblical information and we watched a really interesting video by Ken Ham, if I can get my words out. Ken Ham was speaking in the video, which I think was was on that list of recommendations from Gather Round. Sorry, I need to just take a breath and catch my words here. And that video by Ken Ham was incredibly interesting, and he touched on so many ideas that just blew me away when it came to dinosaurs, and how he ended his little speech was kind of reiterating the fact that science cannot explain how or why dinosaurs went extinct, but the Bible actually can. And the Bible gives us all the information that we need to know about dinosaurs, and that actually there is clear information in the Bible describing dinosaurs, which I didn't know prior to doing this unit. So lesson 1 for me blew me away. I found it so interesting, and I honestly, if anything, I think this unit would be worth doing purely for lesson 1, because it was super, super interesting, and yeah, really opened my eyes to a lot of things I didn't know about prior. Along with lesson 1, we also watched a documentary on YouTube, which was called What Does the Bible Say About Dinosaurs? I'm pretty sure. And it was obviously from a Christian worldview, and it was incredibly interesting as well going through that. So I highly recommend that documentary as well. It started out kind of strange. It kind of seemed like clickbait at first. But toward the end of the documentary, it went into the biblical facts about dinosaurs and what the Bible actually says. So that was, again, very eye-opening, and I really, really enjoyed that first lesson. So I forgot to ask my girls to rate this unit on a scale of 1 to 10. I usually do that with our gather round units, but I forgot and they're out at the moment, so I can't ask them right now. But I personally, what I would give this is maybe like a 4 or 5 out of 10 on our, you know, greatest ever gather round units. So while it isn't ranking very high on our best units ever category, you know, we still had some really, really interesting discussion and did a lot of fun crafts, a lot of fun art projects, and, you know, some really cool, interesting conversation that we had as a family. Maybe if you have older kiddos who are really, really interested in dinosaurs, they might find the history around the paleontologists really interesting. However, I don't know that I would try and do this unit with smaller children. If you have like a 5-6-year-old who's really interested in dinosaurs, this probably isn't the unit that you want to do. I don't know. Maybe if you only do the information about dinosaurs and avoid all of the historical stuff about the paleontologists, maybe then you can make it work. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. All right, getting in now to my girls' independent subjects. Now again, take everything I'm about to say with a grain of salt because we had a baby this term, and yeah. So starting off with my oldest daughter, and I'm not gonna list everything that I had hoped for her to do this term. I'm just gonna say what she actually did and how that went and any changes that we made. So starting off with math, my oldest daughter has been working on the Good and the Beautiful Math 5 for all of this year up until recently, and it's interesting because math is actually her favorite subject. She thrives at math, she's very good at math, and she loves the Good and the Beautiful Math. She requested to do that this past term, this year. This was the math that she wanted to do. Sorry, my kids are just arriving home. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause this and come back in a second. Hold on. Okay, we're back. And I just scratched my neck and now there's a big red mark. Anyways, I was talking about my oldest daughter's math. So the Good and the Beautiful Math is a math that she's very familiar with. It is the math that she has done for several years now. And it's a math that she loves and has loved. However, this past, you know, baby season, it has been pretty difficult on her in particular, getting her work done. Just the level of independence that I expect from her now has really been hard for her, I think. And so when it came to math this past term, she was having some very big, how can I describe this? She was really not enjoying the Good and the Beautiful Math 5. And so what we decided to do instead, at least for just the time being, I don't know if we'll continue for the remainder of the year using this or not, but what we chose to do was switch to teaching textbooks, and the level that she tested into was the level 7. So and comparing the two, comparing the Good and the Beautiful Math 5 to teaching textbook 7, they're actually pretty much on par with each other. There are a couple of things in the level 7 of teaching textbooks that she has not learned yet in the level 5 of the Good and the Beautiful, but from what I can tell, they're pretty much on par with each other, and they're actually about the same level. I don't know how other people find the levels, you know, how other people compare them, but from what I could see, yeah, that level 7 was what she needed to be on, which is pretty interesting, which, you know, makes me think that the Good and the Beautiful is far advanced beyond, you know, beyond its year level type thing, if that makes sense. So yeah, the Good and the Beautiful Math 5 has not worked well for her this past term, and she currently is using teaching textbooks level 7, and we'll see how that goes. She may well continue it for the remainder of the year. I haven't actually paid for the whole curriculum yet. She's currently only doing the free trial of it to see how she likes it. She has done teaching textbooks in the past. She did their Math 3 a few years ago, and she didn't enjoy it, so that's why we moved to the Good and the Beautiful initially. But yeah, it's working well for the moment, and she's really excited about it. She's really enjoying it, and she's very motivated to get it done, as opposed to how she was feeling about the Good and the Beautiful. So if it's working, we're gonna stick with it. She also does the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts Level 6, and this has been going okay for her this past term. Look, I wouldn't say it's been going great, and it's funny because when we started the year, I was feeling like there was a lot more writing than what she had been used to in the Level 5. However, it kind of got to a point over the past few weeks where I was looking at the curriculum and I was like, where is the writing? She has not written a single essay, from what I can tell, and I was sat there, you know, kind of contemplating. I was like, I think we need to change to a different language arts program, because at this point with her age and just where she's at, like academically, she's pretty advanced beyond her years, and I really want her to be focusing on essay writing. And I was kind of sitting there getting annoyed with her language arts from the Good and the Beautiful, because there was hardly any writing for like several months. She's not really been doing any writing. You know, in my opinion, she had, I don't know, and maybe I'm just setting the bar too high, I'm not sure, but saving grace was right as I was gonna start kind of looking at other curriculum. She has now entered into a huge essay writing portion of the Level 6, and so now for the next like 10 or 11 lessons, she's just writing an essay. So I'm happy with that. Now she's doing some essay writing. I just, you know, she's only 11, but thinking about next year, you know, when she'll be turning 13 toward the end of next year, and where she's at academically, I really want to be preparing her for high school level work and, you know, for any future study that she wants to do. Having done a university degree myself, I know firsthand how important it is to be able to write a very effective essay. Honestly, like regardless of what you study, you have to be able to write a good essay. Even if you're, you know, you're majoring in math or science, you have to be able to talk about it, right? You have to be able to write a good essay about it. So for me, it's very, very important that she master the art of essay writing. And I really want her to be building up those skills now. So that's why I'm placing so much emphasis on it. You know, other people with 11-year-olds might, you know, think that's a little bit extra, but yeah, I know that she's incredibly gifted and she can do a lot more, you know, and I just really want to encourage her to be doing her best work and to get the best out of her academics. So for the time being, she's continuing the language arts Level 6 from the Good and the Beautiful, and we'll see how that goes and how it carries on. Along with that, she has also been doing a novel study from the Waldock Way. I chose the Giver novel study for her to do this term, and she's been really enjoying it. She really likes the Waldock Way unit study, the novel study itself. She really likes how it's laid out. She likes the work that's in it. She's finding the book, The Giver, slightly boring, which I'm actually surprised by. Nonetheless, she's continuing with that. That is something that I'm requiring of her, to do that reading and the unit study that goes along with it. Along with all of this, she's also been doing a weekly debate class online, and she does this through the Parkinson Online Classes. This is a New Zealand run, you know, teeny tiny little company. It is an ex-homeschooling mom who's also a teacher, a qualified teacher, and she offers several different classes for kids, you know, from about 8, 9 upward into high school level. And my daughter has been taking the junior debate class with her this past term, and she has loved it. And I have loved the amount of, the amount of required research and writing that she's had to do for this debate class. So pretty much every week, they get given a topic to debate about, which they then take their topic away, and they have to do some pretty solid research on it in order to form their opinion and to gather their facts. And then they're required to pretty much write out a speech, you know, an essay form, kind of persuasive essay, layout speech, and the following week they deliver that speech. and then everyone has kind of a debate on that topic. So she's been really, really enjoying that. It's probably been a highlight for her this past term, which I'm really, really happy with. And it's something that obviously has been incredibly consistent because she has to turn up to her online class every week, you know, because it's been paid for. So so that's been going really good. I love the Parkinson online classes. If you're in New Zealand or Australia, I would highly recommend taking a look at the Parkinson online classes because they're actually fabulous. Erin, who is the teacher, is so personable and, you know, just loves a laugh. The kids really enjoy her energy, and it's, yeah, my daughter has found it very, very beneficial. We are already looking at a couple classes for her for next term as well, which she'll be moving into, which she's really excited about. Okay, and then finally, during this baby season, I really wanted my girls to keep being consistent with something. Even if they weren't getting any other work done, I wanted them to be doing something. And so I got them all a subscription to Night Zookeeper this past term. And so my oldest daughter has also been pretty busy doing a whole lot of creative writing on Night Zookeeper as well, which has been good. And is something that she really enjoys. So, and she's doing the 12+ age category. All right, and that rounds off my oldest daughter's independent subjects. Moving on now to my middle daughter. My middle daughter has just turned 10 years old. And for her independent subjects, starting off with math, she has been doing teaching textbooks level 5 since the beginning of the year, and I'm happy to report that she has been able to continue it even throughout this postpartum season. What I love about teaching textbooks is that I don't have to sit there and teach the math lessons to them. They're incredibly independent. If you know about teaching textbooks, you know that your child can just turn it on and it teaches them the lesson, and then they do the work, and you get sent the grades that they got for that lesson, you know, and then obviously you can help them with whatever they need help with. But what I love is the independence that it's given my middle daughter as far as her math goes, and it's been going really great. She loves it and I love it, and we're going to continue that, and we've been consistent with that, so that's really good. For her language arts, she had started off the term with learning language arts through literature, the Orange Book, and this was something I moved her to at the end of term 1 when our original curriculum wasn't working out. And I was very optimistic, and it had actually been going really well, and as a matter of fact, it's a fabulous curriculum. I have nothing negative to say about it, but just in this baby season, and it's on me, I have not been consistent in teaching from this curriculum. That's honestly what it is. It's nothing to do with the curriculum. It's just the season that we're in at the moment. So her language arts has not been going too well this past term with that curriculum. We were in a journal writing unit when baby was born, and I just think that you know, while it would have probably been very beneficial for her to have been keeping up with journaling, it just kind of seemed a little bit irrelevant for both of us. I would get her book out and look at the lesson, and it was, you know, literally like, write a journal entry about what you did today, and that was the lesson for the day type of thing. So I don't know. You know, it's a very gentle curriculum, which is great, and again, it's part of the reason that I chose it. But I don't know, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it at the moment. We finished up her novel study of, what was the book we read? The Boxcar Children. We finished that up, and she really, really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed it. And currently she's reading Ben and Me, which is the second novel study for that curriculum. We haven't actually started the novel study pages just yet because she's still in the journal writing unit, but she is reading Ben and Me, and that's actually been going really well. It's a book she really enjoys, and it's nice because it's a brand new book. The library ordered it in for us, which is really nice. And to go along with, you know, the reading that she's been doing, she's also been doing Night Zookeeper, which again is so much reading and so much writing, and so I'm pretty happy with that at this stage where we're at in the season. Again, it's something that I don't have to actively hold her hand with, and that she can be very independent with. So I'm very happy with that. You know, as baby gets older, I'm definitely going to be reintroducing different language arts curriculum in, and you know, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how we go. We're not giving up the orange book in any regard. We'll see how we go. I think we'll probably just move straight in to the Ben and Me novel study, and go from there. You know, in a time when you have a new baby, you just gotta do what works, and you know, what's manageable for everybody. So that is the extent of her independent work this past term. And then moving on to my youngest daughter, who is currently 7 years old. She has actually probably been the most consistent with her work. And I think part of that is because I have to do the work with her. You know, my older two are very independent, and they are responsible to kind of get their own work done. Whereas for my youngest daughter to do her stuff, I actually have to actively sit down and teach her. And I have been very motivated to try and get back to doing that. So her and I have actually been very consistent this past term. She is working through the Good and the Beautiful Math Level 1. She loves it. I love it. It's going great. We're moving through quickly. She's on track to finish that by the end of this year, which is really cool. And she's just progressing absolutely beautifully with that math, and again, we've been consistent with it, which is really cool. As far as her reading goes, she is just continuing picking books off our shelf and reading them to me. We are not doing any formal reading curriculum right now. She's still kind of working her way through All About Reading Level 1, but yeah, right now we are just picking books up and reading them every day, and that's enough for me in this current season. For handwriting, she's doing the Good and the Beautiful Handwriting Level 2, and that is also going well. And then finally, she does something that I call phonics. I don't know that it actually is phonics, but that's what I call it. So that has also been going really good. She really enjoys the different crossword puzzles and the different word searches, and you know, the different fun activities in that book. And so that also has been very consistent. And that is pretty much it, my friends. This past term has been a whirlwind, that's for sure. Is that how you say that? Whirlwind? That doesn't sound right. Ooh, whirlwind. I don't know. So yeah, the bare bones, the bare basics of our homeschool, you know, our gather around unit and my girls' independent math and language arts curriculum. Of course, I love adding in all types of different enrichment subjects and, you know, reading and different books and read alouds and different bits and bobs. But this past term has just not allowed for that, as you can imagine. But I'm pretty happy overall with how things have ended up. You know, I expected things to be this way. You know, I kind of anticipated we would take a good week or two off and then get back into it, which is what we've done. So I think this upcoming term, you know, we're going to try to get back to normal as much as possible. We are actually going to be moving house sometime in the next couple of weeks. If you're new around here, my husband is a professional rugby player, and half the year he spends playing for one team in this city, and the other half of the year he spends playing for a different team in a different city. So yeah, some years we go with him, some years we stay behind, but this year, given that we have a newborn who's here somewhere, we are definitely planning to all go together so that I don't lose my mind here by myself with all of these kiddos. So yeah, but that does mean packing up and moving house here pretty soon. So that is on the cards for us in the next couple of weeks. So whether or not we get back to normal in our homeschool anytime soon is kind of up in the air, but at least, you know, we have our bare basics that we can keep coming back to and, you know, keep being consistent with. And also, you know, at the end of the day, like, I know that my kids are still learning. You know, it's not like they haven't learned anything the past few weeks, just because we haven't been doing 10,000 different things in our homeschool. Yeah, you know, there's a season for everything. So I'm actually, yeah, I'm really happy and thankful, you know, for how things have gone. And yeah, I'm optimistic and looking forward to getting back to our normal routine and our normal homeschool. Well, new normal type of homeschool. All right, that is all I have got for you guys today. I hope you have found this helpful in some way. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you're taking very good care of yourself. I hope that you're keeping warm if you're in the southern hemisphere like us, and you know, I hope you're keeping nice and cool if you're up in the northern hemisphere. All right, I will catch you guys in next week's video.